happening here. So, and you all, first of all, thank you so much, each one of you, for taking out time and coming here. And well, this competition, the Young Chef Olympiad, is the, I'll say, the world's biggest. Right?
Yeah, most definitely.
Yes, definitely world's biggest young chef competition, wherein we have we bring various countries together, and we call the young chefs, the budding chefs, who want to make their career in culinary, and we invite them. We have there's a selection process, and they appear for this competition. This competition is grand because all these young chefs they represent their country. So now here, what is happening in Goa? Goa, we are having this the stage one, the round one, what is happening here. So all these countries, all various about 50 plus countries, they arrived Delhi on 28th, 29th. We had the opening ceremony, and where all these renowned chefs, there are many more who were there, who were the part of this ceremony. And then from there, we had all these countries were divided into various chapters, into a group, and then the first round happened at what is happening in Delhi, Goa, Hyderabad, Pune, Bangalore. These are the 5 places where the first round is happening. And after this, they all are flying back to Kolkata, where the further rounds will happen. So, Chef will be giving more brief about the rounds, what is happening here. We have Chef Gary Maclean, who is the first chef of Scotland, right? And we are grateful that he is a part of this team of judges, what we have. And then we have Chef Garth.
Thank you.
Who's another renowned author, and extremely thankful that he's a part of this competition. Chef, please, you can go ahead.
So today's the first day that the students are going to be cooking. And fundamentally what we're trying to do here is we're trying to establish who these young chefs are, what are their skills, what are their passions. And cooking isn't just about that plate of food. There's loads of different skills that are getting judged right now, their technical skills. How do they stand? How do they operate? Are they working in a clean and tidy manner? We've both got probably the best job of the day. We're the tasting judges today, so we get to see the food coming through, but we don't know who they are. So we're marking the food just on how it tastes and how it looks and how it's presented to us. So there's 2 different sides of marking, so we don't get caught up in a superstar in the kitchen who then maybe produces something that's under season. So this is a really vital part. There's 50 countries at the moment doing this very round, and what we're going to try and do over the next day or so is to get those countries broken up into different groups. So we're looking for a top 10. So the top 10 is going to come from the very best of every heat. The top 20 then go into a competition called the Plate Trophy. And the Plate Trophy, again, is a highly fought competition. The winners of the Plate Trophy go home as heroes. And the final 30, we've got what's called the Dr. Bowles Challenge. So it keeps everyone cooking, it keeps everyone having a chance to win a competition. So the Dr. Bowles Challenge is actually quite a short competition, but probably one of the scariest competitions that we're doing. It's a mystery basket. So the young chefs are going to get a few ingredients, and we're going to see what to do with them. And because we'll get students from all over the world, we're going to see completely different food coming from the exact same local ingredients. So for me, it's an amazing competition in such a beautiful locations in India, and it changes lives. I've been involved in this for 6 years. First year as the Scotland coach, and I'm now on the judging team. So it's great to see it now from both sides. Very exciting.
So yeah, just a little bit about the top 10. They're obviously the cream of the crop, the ones that have done well in all the areas. They go, and that's the final. They'll be in the final. They have to cook a prawn dish, and
They've got
the tart.
Yeah, they've got apple tart tartan, and again we're going back to some basic skills. They've got 2 omelets to make as well. So it's all these kind of core skills that we're looking for.
Which is interesting because I think it's interesting to take a young chef and say, part of the competition is really skills based. So have they been taught the right thing? Do they actually know the fundamental building blocks of cookery? And if we test them on that, and then the other part is how they can cook. So it's like, everybody says if you build a house without good foundations, it's never going to stand for a long time. So we need to know that they've got the skills so that in 5 years' time they end up as really good cooks and good chefs. So yeah, it's going to be a challenge to say the least. And as Gary said, I think the most interesting part of the whole competition for me would be the Dr. Bo's challenge. Why? Because it's a mystery basket. They don't know what they're going to get. And it's going to be really interesting for judges to see what they can do with one common ingredient. I think it's millet. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting.
I think running right through the whole competition, it's about cultural exchange. So we've got young people here who are meeting young chefs and mentors from other countries, different religions, different viewpoints, different everything. But what brings them all together is food, and it's incredible. One of the best things I've ever seen in my life was the first year I came was a bunch of students from all over the world, and there was some warring country sitting together, and all they're doing is talking about food and life and having fun. And I always said, if chefs were politicians, the world would be a much better place, let me tell you. It'd be a much better place.
Chef, whenever you are judge, what are the qualities judge sees in a contestant? Like if he prepares a dish, is it judged on the nutrition of that nutrition based on that dish, or we should taste that good? So,
well, today we're looking at presentation, taste, flavour, and cooking ability. When we're looking at cooking ability, has the dish been cooked properly? Has it been overcooked or undercooked? Has it been seasoned? Seasoning is such an important skill when it comes to food, and a lot of people don't do it, including chefs. They don't do it properly. They don't taste their food, and we'll know straight away if that young chef has tasted their food. We don't want to be the first people tasting the food. We want the young chef to know what it is and adjusting the flavour and the seasoning. So it's a whole combination of things that we are looking for. And again, that's why there's so many different challenges, because it lets us mark the young chefs in almost everything. We even have a mark for sharpening the knife, because it's such an essential skill. So we want to see that they understand how to put an edge on a knife. Using the correct coloured chopping boards for their country, all these sorts of things. Looking at food waste is an important factor as well. So we're looking at what did they waste, what did they keep, that sort of thing. Are they putting the bones to the side, or they can be used for something else? So there's lots and lots of different things. Being a chef these days is a lot. You have to think a lot of things, and obviously this whole competition is getting tied in with sustainability. So the sustainability is the core of this whole competition. So we're looking to exchange ideas and what other countries are doing. Are they doing it better? Doing something that they can share with the rest of the different countries. So we're almost having our own little G20 G20 summit here. But the food's better. The food's definitely better.
are there any Goan chefs or participants in the Goa?
India is in the competition, and I believe it's a student, an IIHM student from Delhi campus.
Oh, yeah.
Is it Kolkata campus?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, Kolkata. So
When will the final venue, grand finale venue?
the grand final venue is Kolkata, and that's on Saturday.
You mentioned that knowing the culture is also very important as part of being a judge. So, what are the various challenges that you face, like to be a part of events like this?
Yes. Again, we've been doing this all the time and judging lots of different countries. The last 2 years we judged it from our homes and our jammies. Simply did. There'll be a real difference between certain nations. Part of that if you've got emerging nations who are just starting out in hospitality industry and trying to grow hospitality in their own country, you know, versus France, you know, the kings of, you know, cuisine, you know, there is a difference, but we want to see that you know, cultural difference or country difference within their food, and they've also got the opportunity to bring some of their own ingredients as well, so they can add their own touch to a dish. And lots of times we're learning. I mean, I certainly learned loads judging the last 2 years online when young chefs use their own local grains or rice or spices or seasonings. So it's a fantastic competition. I can't speak any higher of it. It's you know, and we've made friends for life. Yeah, and it's all come through the brain of a couple of people, Dr. Bose and Professor Foskett, come up with this idea almost 10 years ago. In fact, it is 10 years ago in a pub in London, and they decided this is what we're doing, and they've done it. And you know, to coordinate something like this in 5 cities in India, bringing 50 countries and mentors and judges, all, and then transport them all around India, then we're all going to Kolkata. When I'm going to Kolkata, I have to today. Have to. Only got here yesterday. So the organisation that it takes, the team behind it, have been working on this for 11 months. So it's an incredible competition, and I think it deserves as much credit as it can get, because it's a real showcase of India.
Yeah, I don't think there are many countries in the world that could pull this kind of thing off. Absolutely.
I don't think there's any.
Yeah.
I really don't. I don't think there's any.
And that's the amazing thing. That's really the amazing thing. That India could do it, but you know, very few other people could do it. And the nice thing about the competition is there's lots of competitions for older and professional chefs and so on, and you see them on TV. But these kids, these youngsters, are going to be the chefs of the future. So, you know, here's a competition that puts you on the world map straight away, from all over the world, puts you on the world map, and you've got this opportunity to move forward. And they're doing it for the younger people because they are the chefs of the future. And they are the ones, and that's why the sustainability part of the competition is so important, because they're the ones that are going to have to carry it forward for all of us. You know, and it's amazing what they've done. Nothing else?
What will you be advising the competition, like who are like participating? Any advice that you have for them, like not as a judges but as a chef?
For the competitors?
For the competitors.
I think the big thing that we all say is enjoy it. Enjoy it. To get to where they are now, the guys that are cooking there now have done those dishes 10, 15 times. They've practiced in their country. They've made mistakes, you know, already, and that's why you practice. You try and get rid of all your mistakes. I think the big thing is, you know, it's following your plan. It's having a smile on your face, because happy chefs make happy food, and make sure you taste it. Taste. Don't forget to taste the food, because there's a lot of marks and flavour and balance.
Yeah, and I think they're in a different kind of environment, so it's a challenge, and they can challenge themselves and come out the other end and kind of not give up. If you kind of say, oh, it's too difficult or whatever, it's just kind of go through it. Never give up. No matter what it comes out like, it's an opportunity to learn and an opportunity to see what you are capable of doing. That's the challenge.
If you can talk a little bit more about the plate trophy.
Yeah.
So
More about the plate trophy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the plate trophy's actually changed over the last few years. The plate trophy used to be a standalone competition for the 11th to 20th young chef, and when I was a coach, I didn't practice for it because I wanted in the top 10. So we just practiced, and I was always terrified to get in the plate trophy because we never practiced it. We always just went and put all our time into the final, and luckily we always made the final. But the plate trophy was initially brought in to again bring more young chefs into the competition longer, and it's became a real, you know, when we call out the names of who's in the plate trophy, the countries go mad. I mean, it's a real accomplishment to get in the top 20, and it shows you the standard of the competition when someone's cheering a top 20 place. So the challenge this year is very, very similar to the final. They've got to do a prawn dish, so they've got king prawn dish, and they've got to come up and it's got to come up with their own take on that. We send them a list of ingredients. So there's a list of various ingredients with pulses and vegetables and things like that, and the chefs in their own country can practice and develop their own dish. So they then come here and they do that dish. Also, as part of the plate trophy, they've got those basic challenges. So they've got 2 omelettes to make. And I know all of us here are making omelettes and things like that at home, but the key to this is they're making 2. And they're making 2 omelettes with 1 pan. So they have to figure out how to cook the first one so that it's the same as the second one and the second one's good. So there's a bit of challenge there. And to make an omelette, a classic French omelette has no colour. And they're working on induction hobs, so there's a lot of skill in the control of the pan and the seasoning of the pan and things like that. And again, it's very similar to the cuts of veg that they're doing today. You can tell a lot from a chef, from a so-called basic task that isn't so basic.
And in terms of sustainability as well, how we are measuring the wastage.
Yeah. So the young chefs are getting measured on the wastage and their knowledge of use of wastage. So there is wastage in a competition, there's no doubt. But what we want them to do is to look after it. So there's certain wastage that can't be reused, you know, things like onion skins and eggshells and things like that. And as a judge, I want to see that separate bowl alongside vegetable trimmings that can be reused, or bones or skin or things like that. All of these things can be reused really, really well. So we want to see that they understand that as well. So they're up there with about 4 bins on their table.
Yeah. But it's like a utilization of product. So if you get one thing, how many things can you use that for? So you take the main component from that, and whatever's left over, you can use it for other things, derivatives of. You could make a sauce for the prawn shells and so on and so forth. If you're cutting veg, you take the vegetables, the offcuts of the vegetables, and you use it to put in the sauce for the prawn shells, and you make a sauce from that. So you're not actually discarding any of the byproduct of that particular thing. And that's we're doing tasting, but there's another set of judges in there marking them on all those things. How do they utilize the product? How clean do they work? Are they using the right boards for the right product? You know, the wastage, which is vitally important. And how do they conduct themselves as a chef? Are they using the knife correctly, as Gary says? Are they sharpening the knife before they use it on the product? All those kind of things. They really are being inspected with a microscope today. And it's daunting, you know.
But the margin between first and 50th is tiny.
Yeah.
It's absolutely tiny. The standard is really, really high throughout. And I've noticed over the years, I'm sure you have, the standard every year just gets higher and higher. The first year Scotland came, we got 3rd. And we were really happy, over the moon getting 3rd place. And then I came back out the next year and we practiced more and understood it more. And my young student produced much better food. And he got 4th. So he went back a place. And then the 3rd year, we really practiced, really worked hard. We had a lovely student that represented Scotland. He produced amazing food, absolutely amazing food. And he got 9th. And if he produced that food, the first year I was here, he would have won. But it shows you the standard. And it was a fair 9th. Because the standard of the final, even I could see it as a mentor as the food comes through. You can kind of place it, and And to be fair, that year we were happy with 9th, you know, to get 9th in that standard. And I dare say this year's going to take another.
Isn't a plated trophy this year?
Scotland. Well, it's not me. I'm not coaching, so I'm totally impartial to who goes through.
Yeah. That's it. No more
One
questions?
question to one question to Sneha. So this is the 9th edition.
Yes.
If you can brief us as to how the top participants have performed in the last 8 editions.
While we have had fantastic experience here, all these contestants performing very well. In fact, in last 2 years during pandemic, as Chef mentioned, it was also everything was online. The whole competition was online, and that was the best experience. That pandemic also did not stop us in bringing this culinary competition ahead.
So how was the tasting done online? The judges tasting?
We utilised country judges, so there'd be 2 well-known chefs from Goa that we would have organised, and they come in and they're doing the job that we're doing today. So they were our taste buds, our nose, because it smells important, and we could ask those judges the questions. We could cut through the product to see if it's cooked properly. So they were almost our remote control chefs. And again, it was. I think we got that right. I think because the judges at NUVEM were of such high calibre, the food was the key, and it wasn't to big up their country chef. It was to do with giving respect to the food and skill. And I think it worked really well.
We were watching them online all the time, how they were cooking, and if you 4 were cooking, we were going from you to you to you and then back and watching you all the time.
Yeah.
And there were 4 judges actually watching everybody all the time.
Each kitchen had 4 cameras.
Yeah. So,
And to be fair, there was a lot of judges as well. There was a team of at least 5 judges per heat.
good group.
So, and there was a lead judge kind of helping control marks and things like that. Actually, I mean, it was something that, we all went into that pandemic and learning new skills and learning about Zoom and Teams and things. And we were lucky because we managed to have a live competition in 2020 before the outbreak happened. So we kind of got that. So we had a good 10 months to sort of consider how were we going to do it. And the technical team at IIHM were superb, weren't they? They came up with the whole concept of how to do it. How do you bring, we were bringing 50 countries together at the exact same time.
Different time zones all over the world.
So there was judges at 2 in the morning in the country or 10 at night judging.
It was fun.
Coach, Chef, you said they are inspected for every minute thing, the young participants.
Yeah.
So do you think sometimes they can feel pressure and they have to be calmed down so that they enjoy?
I think pressure is a good thing. I think that if the pressure, they need to know the pressure because they're going to go into an environment where they have 50 people in the restaurant ordering at the same time, so they need to understand pressure. And I think it's a good thing. So, it's not too daunting, but you want to put them under a bit of pressure and see how they can cook. Because the mark of a good chef is that he can think on his feet. He can, okay, I need to do this now because of this and this and this. And he can make a decision and stick to it. So yeah, pressure is a good thing.
I think the other side of the competition is the friendship. There's 9 young chefs up there who will be friends for life, and they're from all over the world. We've got Colombia up there. I think they're our furthest.
Yeah.
Australia, I don't know if that's further than Australia and New Zealand, but they've come all the way from Colombia. It's a 27-hour flight, and they're making friends with someone from New Zealand, So it's, and I think that's I'll be honest, I think that is the core of the competition, is to bring young chefs together. With the joys of WhatsApp groups and things like that, or Facebook and social media, these people, they are friends for life. And we've had many young chefs over the years have have moved to different countries to meet up with their competitors. You know, they're up there, they're competing against themselves, they're not competing against each other. You know, and there's a real sense of teamwork and not or camaraderie. You know, they've got almost like a trench mentality where they're all in something really special together. You know, and it's amazing when you see someone from their group maybe go to the final, the rest of their group cheer them on. So it's a lovely competition. So it is. And they all go home happily and have experienced, and very few of them have even been outside their own country, let alone come into somewhere like India. You know, India is a country that's on everyone's bucket list, particularly Goa, might I ask. Every year when they do the draws, I always hope to get Goa.
Exactly.
And I always got Delhi. Which I love Delhi.
I'm so glad all the
Goes
chefs,
better.
I'm like
when I went to welcome, when the whole team went to welcome all the chefs, I was so super excited that they were all in, all the four chef judges who what we have, they all are here in Goa, right? And so yes, Goa was definitely an excitement for everyone.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I get excited when I read the judges. The judges on this competition are idols of mine, you know, growing up. You know, the past executive chefs at Dorchester and Grosvenor House and Burj Al Arab are here in Goa. I mean, these Burj Al Arab, Dorchester and Grosvenor House are some of the most famous hotels in the world. And they're up there just now. Incredible, absolutely incredible.
Okay, so this is the 9th edition of this Olympiad. How would you say that it has evolved from the first edition to the 9th edition? The evolution of this Olympiad.
I think there's definitely more competitions, so we're probably doubled. There was no plate trophy on the first one. There was no Dr. Bo's challenge. The Dr. Bo's challenge is brand new for this year. Plate trophy was brought in about 4 years ago. It's certainly, I mean, it's always been very well organised. I think there's certainly a lot more purpose. You know, we've obviously got the sustainability conference, so we've realised that there's lots and lots of people here and lots of talented people here. So let's make use of them. Judges and mentors are also in the downtime are out in schools, out in hotels, out in helping with charity events. We're all doing demonstrations and seminars, so there's a lot of knowledge sharing, so there's a lot going on, and each year that goes on, the time is always used perfectly. I mean, you've got a masterclass,
Yes.
masterclass Thursday. I've got one maybe tomorrow, so there's lots.
There are a lot of things which are happening. So chefs will also be going to schools to talk about hospitality. There are master classes arranged. The chefs are also all across I'm talking. They're also going to various hotels to do a special for chef tables.
Chef's table, yeah.
And yeah, so it has beautifully evolved, I'd say.
And I think what's happened as well is everyone's really became a family. So it's become not only a competition, it's become something that we all look forward to seeing our friends that we see online twice a week, but to get to be here and see them in the flesh is super. It's more than just a competition, a lot more.
What are the age range of the chefs?
It's a young chef up to the age of 23. We've had them as young as 16, but the youngest is 16 up to 23, and that's quite a big window for a young chef. But we don't seem to have we've had some really young chefs in the final, 16, 17, 18-year-old chefs. So it's all about practice and mentoring.
We have to proceed for the.
Okay.
All good?
Guys, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll just drop the chefs and come.
Diraja.